Not all premiers are made equal. Some of us have Doug Ford, some of you have David Eby, and some of you have Danielle Smith, okay? So welcome back to the Freedom Pines podcast. I'm your host, Jamie A.B., and I want to just say a round of applause for Alberta once again defeating all of the nasty stereotypes that the rest of Canada puts on you guys. In comparison, I've moved to a place, okay? When I moved to Northern Ontario, I went through and I followed every single person I could from the area, every business. I have supported every business. Do you think that Northern Ontario has been even an eighth of welcoming as Alberta has been to me? No, not at all. And that's no offense to Northern Ontarians, okay? It's very lib. Very lib. I was so surprised because I come from Southern Ontario where it's very conservative. But thank you guys for commenting, liking, and subscribing. I've been doing this for 3 years. I've been taken down multiple times on TikTok, and I was like, you know what? It's time to actually start my YouTube career because, groceries are $500 a week for us. So anyways, thank you guys for helping me put food on my table for my family in Communist Canada. So let's dive right into why I think that Danielle Smith is an outstanding premier and why I am very, very interested in moving to Alberta once again, but coming from a Danielle Smith perspective. So I have Doug Ford, okay? There is no reason, if you guys know what Northern Ontario is made of, we have resources upon resources upon resources. Okay, and I seen this funny map on TikTok yesterday, and it was like the America swallowing Canada, and then there's just Canada East and Canada West, and it's Quebec and like a couple of the Maritimes provinces, and then Ontario, because that will be how Canada, if Alberta leaves, powers the rest of Canada. Even though we have nothing going, nothing opening, no Ring of Fire, maybe now actually because the area is conservative. So obviously a lot of that has to do with the red tape within the municipalities and the provincial jurisdiction. But anyways, we should be a powerhouse. We should be a powerhouse just like Alberta, but we're not. Why? Even though Doug Ford's slogan is Ontario open for business, he was the one that very much shut down the business in Ontario, which, by the way, I fully believe that Doug Ford wanted to keep businesses open, okay? I think that he had a strong arm of the government telling him that this is the way it had to be. I don't blame all the premiers, okay, for having to do this because I know they were strong-armed by the federal government and public health and stuff. It's still not an excuse. We still have not gotten an apology. And Doug still has the nerve to get up there after he forced the majority of his province to, tell everybody, hey, if you're disabled, get your ass up and work. Which kills me because these libs are like, the conservatives should call themselves progressive. Why? Because Doug slaps a label of progressive on himself and it makes fun of people with disabilities and you think that he's progressive? Anyways, who I've seen be the most progressive, by the way, are the natural conservatives. I'm talking Danielle Smith, Pierre Poilievre, the ones who have called this sea change agenda out for what it is. Okay, and it's a death cult. Because that's what happens when you get rid of a country's main resources of heat and getting food around. I'm going to do another video tomorrow because it's 20 degrees in Northern Ontario and I want to get out there and clean out my gardens and get things going. Because if we're moving to Alberta, which I really want to, it's just, anyways, there's lots of logistics to it. We're looking into it. We did this with moving up north too. We know that it'll be a couple of months of my husband working in Alberta if this does happen, and then we'll have to move after because that's what happened with even Northern Ontario. So I am going to make a garden, and if I have to bring my potatoes with me, I'll be bringing a whole box of potatoes with me in my SUV, okay? But Danielle Smith, back to this. Danielle Smith is the only premier that I have seen that has stood up for the jobs of their province. we have all of this tariff situation happening. I don't think people really understand how screwed Northern Ontario is going to be after, like, not only is Southern Ontario screwed right now because of the auto sector being impacted by tariffs, but Northern Ontario, all of our businesses either ship to America or are owned by America. Like, it's like logging companies. And what's Doug doing? What's anyone doing? I don't know. Mark Carney's going today, so I guess I'll be talking about it later. But damn, if the tariffs impact us, like Danielle Smith, it impressed the hell out of me that she went to the inauguration, and she put aside, even if she doesn't agree with Donald Trump on everything, which she probably doesn't, she put all of that crap to the side and went there for Albertans, to stick up for Albertans, despite the entire news media dragging her, despite all of the bots that have more than likely been hired to drag Danielle Smith on TikTok. I don't know if you guys have TikTok, but the amount of disgusting, abhorrent comments that I see about Danielle Smith under every CTV news coverage of her, of just every single person that is standing up for actual Canadians, will be painted as the bad guys in our media. Mark my words. Because it is nothing short of impressive that Danielle Smith got off her ass and went to frickin' Washington or Mar-a-Lago to talk to Trump about these things. Because it's clear that our inept Prime Minister at the time, Justin Trudeau, would not do so. And all Doug would do was stand up there and be like, Trump is the bad guy. And we're going to have a snap election so you guys don't realize how corrupt I am, and you'll vote me in one more time. Because of obviously, if all of us Ontarians, which by the way, Pierre Poilievre got more votes than Doug Ford did in Ontario. I promise you, none of us actually wanted to vote for Doug at all, because it was the literally playing Russian roulette and picking, the least of it. And I know what playing Russian roulette is. I know that that's not what it is. But you know what I'm saying? Like, we were picking the least best of three. All right? Not impressive that he won is what I'm saying. Because Danielle Smith has been I will say it again, only person to stand up for the freedoms and the overreach of the federal government. Okay, there's a couple of things that I disagree on. I wish she would have gotten involved with how corrupt everything was with Coots. I don't understand what's going on there. I wish that she could use, like, there's no reason that these men should be in jail, in my opinion, in comparison to the amount of people who are out of jail. She is the only one of the premiers. I will say Doug Ford is getting really frustrated with the judges, because I will say it's not like, I don't think Doug Ford wants our streets to be filled with crime. I really don't. And he has been sticking up and standing up and saying, what are you doing, judges? Like, stop letting people out on bail so much. But Danielle Smith is the only person who seems to want to do anything about it and actually protect Albertans from this climate sea change, hysteria, okay? Protect Albertan jobs, protect their industry, stand up for Albertans. And that's admirable to me. Even if we don't become a 51st state or separate, Frank Vaughan is right. We need to go back to the table and talk about the individual rights of provinces, because we need to be protected from this federal government who loves to overreach, overstep, and slowly strip away our freedoms, while everybody else in every other province just seems to be like, yeah, okay, we'll let the federal government ruin our province. It doesn't matter, okay? Because while the left says all of these things are provincial, I will say, federal government sets the standard. So now I think that, Danielle Smith realizes the Conservatives aren't in, and we need to be the ones that set the standard for Albertans, because the federal government has done such a failure of a job. So as an Ontarian who definitely feels like I've been let down by my premier and my federal government in general, I honestly feel as though that a lot of hardworking Canadians out there who are not seeing their paychecks go far enough for how much they work, and for those of us who have been treated like absolute dirt, like I don't know about you guys, this CRA has, taken away our daycare and forced my husband to quit his job so that he could take care of the kids, because at the time I had the pension. This was before my injury, before they forced me to take something to keep that job. And, now they're coming back and saying, well, you have to pay it all back plus interest because you applied for the wrong benefit. You guys told us to apply for it. Like, we need more protection from this corrupt federal government, and I don't care how it happens. Danielle Smith is the only one talking about it. I feel as though Saskatchewan, is it Saskatchewan that's right beside it, I think? Yes. Have been talking about separating as well. And, don't be surprised that it happens. I always was if you watch my other videos, I have said right from the beginning, the only people that I could see wanting to leave Canada and, being okay with them leaving Canada because of how they've been treated is Alberta. I said it from the beginning. I didn't say it being serious because I actually didn't think that we would vote in another 4 years of Liberals. I honestly did not think that this would be an option. I uploaded a video a week ago, a week and a half ago, of me being like, me dancing around, pretending not to be nervous at AF about the election because I know that I'm either going to have to move to America or Alberta. Why? Because C-63 is going to go through. And the only one that is actually talking about protecting us from these things is Danielle Smith. And I'm sorry that I've said it 100 times, but she is the only one who seems to care about any sort of freedom, any sort of, citizens getting ahead. Okay? And I appreciate that about her. And I know that so many people who have been messaging me, asking me how to go about this, because we moved to Northern Ontario, and obviously I've been talking about moving to Alberta. What you got to do is you got to make an appointment with the bank. First, you got to see if you have enough credit or whatever to be able to get a job and just go there and work at the job, or be like my husband, who's probably going to have to go and, not that we have bad credit, he just had to take time off when the government forced him to take time off, and now he's being punished for it, but whatever. He'll probably have to go and work there while I stay here. And I mean, up here, he had my mom to go to, so I don't know what's going to happen about that. But yeah, that's what you first need to do. I'll be documenting this, obviously, so follow me if you guys want to see this. But first, you go to the bank, you make an appointment with the bank and talk about it and talk about your options, what your budget would be and stuff like that, of what you need to do, and then you go from there, and then that's when you start like applying for jobs, and then you go from there. But we will get to that eventually. Like I said, it would probably not be till like we have to make an appointment with the bank, and then we were already going to do that, because it's funny how in the spring my husband found my dream house, my absolute dream house. It had onions planted from the year before ready to go. And something in me told me, no, I don't want that. And we're at the point where I'm telling you, like, I feel so bad for my husband because we do love this area. But I told him, I was like, we gotta go. We can't stay in this. Like, the plan was, if Pierre, like, the smart move would be to move to Northern Ontario if Pierre was opening up all of the resources, but that's not happening. And we don't have a lot of places to choose from around here. Now, I will say, if you want to move away from Southern Ontario and not be too far from your family, Northern Ontario is a perfect place to go. If you don't mind working in the mines, unfortunately, my husband does not like working in the mines, and I do not blame him for that. because he works his ass off in plenty of other different fields, but those fields are not here, and they're not coming here because no one's opening up Ontario for business. So we were at the point where we were going to buy our 20 acres of land, okay? But that will not be happening if even one of the logging mills gets shut down. Like, we're screwed. And this has already happened. The person that owned the plant where my husband works before completely went bankrupt, and the whole area just went under. And nothing has come back, you guys. Well, obviously things have bought up, but there are American companies that came in and bought these companies, and we have no idea what the future of those could be. You know, there's been plants that have been shut down in America because they're not building as many houses anymore, and Pierre didn't get in, so how? Anyways, we need more options. And Danielle Smith does not seem to be opposed to inviting work opportunities to Alberta either. Okay, she's not a zealot about these things, and I admire her for that. And like I said, there's probably things that I don't agree with Danielle Smith on, okay? But a lot of the things I do agree with her on. And I admire her for how she stands up for you guys. It impresses me so much because it's a freaking woman. It's a woman who's gotten her butt up there, obviously cared about her community, and done something about it. So, anyways, guys, that is my talk about Danielle Smith. I really admire her. Now tell me, how is it in Alberta? Do you guys mostly enjoy her? For the most part, I see that it's either the Libs and the NDP complaining about her or people really liking her. So let me know in the comments. And I want to thank you guys again. If you're from Alberta and you guys have been so nice to me, I want to thank you from the bottom of my heart. It truly has given me hope in Canada again, that Canada, and don't get me wrong, by the way, there are a bunch of freedomers here who are incredible people, and I love the freedom community here, but we are few and far between. Okay? And you know what? Normally, I don't mind living around, I don't mind living next to people that don't agree with me politically, but when it comes to literally wanting to take away our heat sources, livelihoods, in the name of sea change, I can't sit around and wait for what the Libs do for and allow for the greater good. And that's exactly one of the reasons why we're moving. So yeah, I feel as though if something were to happen, Alberta would be the only one to stand up for itself. So, all the more reason to go. I want to thank you guys so much again from the bottom of my heart. It is time to get out and touch some grass. You guys have a great day. Bye.